It is my pleasure to introduce Reverend Barbara Sanson. I don't have a bio for her, but she told me I could wing it. So I've known Barbara from the Healing Temple, serving many, many years, very diligently and very openly, and she's been a mentor and a tutor for all of the events that have happened up there the summers that I've been there, as well as a remarkable teacher for the school. And since I'm staffing the school, I get to hear her every year teach mediumship and healing, and it's really a grand, grand thing, and your service is most welcome. And what year were you ordained?
1991, I believe.
1991.
The first graduating class.
Yep, there you go. Okay, so the first graduating class comes to the last last Vespers service for the year.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Mr. Thomas, nice that you could make it. Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Mark. I was asked to talk about hospitality, for I believe it was the theme of this month. And you know, you don't think there's much to talk about when you get the word hospitality. But then you sit down and you start, you know, scribing a few little words of attachment and looking around at some books of spiritual knowledge and wisdom, and oh my, I wound up having much more than necessary, but things that were pertinent and important as I thought we could talk about these things this evening. I'm not sure how long you would like me to speak, Connie or Mark. How long?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. Well, you'll have to give me the sign, please, if you would. In Romans chapter 12, it says simply that hospitality contributes to the needs of the saints and to seek and show hospitality through all you do. Well, in ancient times, the wealthy had their lavish castles and beautiful places and could afford to do that and put on quite a show. But I think about the poor little farmers and the little people tucked away in a hut somewhere that might have only had maybe even a cup of broth and a wee slice of bread to offer the travelers who would stop and expect to be kept overnight on their journeys. So that's still going on. It's gotten a little more refined in life, if you will, but the basic idea of, you know, Howard Johnson and the Wyndham hotels and all of the places to stay, they up their prices sky high, if you will. So that makes a certain group of people feel very, you know, welcome with hospitality. And then there are the other people that wind up sleeping in their cars, having a sleeping bag, and, you know, lucky if they have money for gas to get to the next fill-up station. So diversity in hospitality comes to me in consciousness, diversity from the very affluent to the very needy. The art of service, if you will. That's what I loved when I saw the parenthesis after the word hospitality, the art of service and serving others. And as that in our thoughts at fellowship ministers that are here, you know, that is a form of service, really, hospitality. We're there to serve God, we're there to help one another, help the school if necessary, help others, help Lilydale. And so to me, it's a very important part of what we personally take on in the service of our commitment as a minister, that we can be of service to the community and the church. The origin of the word hospitality, that to me was fascinating in itself too, because it comes from, it first comes from an old version of French hospitality light, and then from Latin, hospice, and it evolved from hospice to hostis, T-I-S, meaning stranger or enemy. Because if you think of the word hostile, it also has the prefix of hospital and some other derivatives that are prefix to their own words. And oh my gosh, I thought first hospitality, and then when I started looking at these derivative words from Latin, from Greek, from French, I thought it must have been at one point a very guarded and a very protected situation with people looking for hospitality. So you see in the movies and you see in the pictures all the lords and the lairds from the castles with their big swords. Well, no wonder. If it was they didn't know who to expect and didn't know what they wanted, but they were expected in protocol and in sort of the reigning levels of the country, they were expected to offer hospitality to people. So I sort of thought, I'll bet you that's why they always show all these pictures with the swords and the scepters and all of these things, just in case somebody got out of hand. You know, they could take care of them right there out in the courtyard. So the act of becoming welcome or entertained was later established to the word of hospitality and friendly to guests or visitors. We have lost much of our spiritual graces in the world over time. We don't have the same customs that we first had as civilization unfolded in pockets and began to flourish. Things have changed, things have grown, and in today's world, once again, they might be wearing their swords and shields around. You just never know. You just don't know. We've lost much of our spiritual graces in the sharing of hospitality. People have taken advantage of that. People have approached places and burglarized them and taken funds. And people aren't always as trusting and trustworthy as they might have been many hundreds of years ago. And I still think they weren't. That's why I think they had guards at the palace gates and guards on once they walk the wooden plank where the river went underneath. I think there were more security, and people were very, very, I think, cautious of letting anyone in. So when we go along and we talk about a divine duty, this is some of the words in some of the books that I had fascinating time. I spent 3 days reading all about hospitality and its history. It's fascinating. A divine duty, it was listed and stated in one of the passages of a book. It was considered a divine duty of the wealthy class to host or offer friends and strangers the comfort of the home as they traveled on their journey. It's amazing. The demonstration of hospitality is often shown in friendliness or courteous treatment of others, including generosity. Now, these are the words that were synonyms under the word hospitality, and I find them kind of fascinating. Generosity, graciousness, thoughtfulness, politeness, elegance, knighthood, and goodwill, will name a few. Categorized as a noun, it has been used to describe many forms of gatherings and social settings still today. Join us for Hospitality Hour. That's a very common traditional saying, be it at a church or a memorial service or a wedding or any kind of gathering for a purpose or a reason. Join us for hospitality hour. It still goes on. Viewing the opposites in antonyms is such as audacity, insolence, rudeness, and disrespect in news or events. And you know how readily those words move through our world today, as well as the good ones. But it seems we sometimes tweak and hear the bad ones a little bit sharper than we do the good ones. So I wrote down in my little way, my little Virgo sense of humor, maybe we should check our love barometer first before we get started into this hospitality thing. So, yet I can't imagine that there would not be hospitality. When I was younger, I grew up in the 50s and the 60s. My grandparents would, when there was a terrible snowstorm on our dirt road, because we were farmers, people would stay overnight. And my grandmother had an extra bedroom. And she would bring them upstairs and feed them in the morning, and off they'd go if they could get out of the driveway. And it was her form of hospitality. Also, the other part of that is it was very, very common after most church services, as I grew up anyway, Episcopal, not that that's good or bad, just that that is another form of Christian religion, and they would have the goodies, you know, the cakes, the pies, the coffee, the goodies, always. And so I don't know about everybody else, but the kids who sang in the choir could hardly wait to get their robe off and get downstairs first to make sure they got the piece of candy or something that they wanted. So sometimes what we don't say or do is as important as what we say or do. We all have expectations. It's part of human being. And look to build good relationships for ourselves and others. We strive to do that. Sometimes it's very successful, and sometimes you need to follow the part where sometimes we don't say or do, we just walk away. What can set us apart is our desire to be loving, our desire to share, our desire to give and receive with care and courtesy, because care and courtesy were also under the synonym definition of hospitality. Actions, many, many times, as we all know, speak so much louder than words, so much louder. Remember, one of the secrets of success in our relationship with others is simply starting with yourself. Start there first. And then you are so much more able and perceptive and willing and desirous to share hospitality. When you have pain or suffering or conflict in families or situations, it's a little hard to buck up and offer yourself as a garish place for people to come in and talk when you'd probably rather be either alone in a room in prayer or maybe sleeping off a bad memory. And ourselves is not a customer satisfaction clause, starting with ourselves. It's not a customer. You don't write a contract. You just start with yourself. And if you need help, you ask, hopefully. So it's best shared, hospitality, assuring good conversation. Oh, yes, indeed it can. If you meet someone new, someone like Tammy that we welcome this evening coming in for the first time, and that's a pleasure for us. And we want to welcome our new people and friends and people that come in. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you. So that simply means love, politeness, graciousness, goodwill, respect, that are part of our makeup, part of our chemistry, part of our desire of service, if you will, and in the service of hospitality, welcoming those that we don't know, introducing them, ourselves, finding out a little bit about their life. And what I want to say is, I see people, I can't believe, yes, that's right. It's right. It's that time of night, isn't it? But you got to listen up because I got a couple zingers in here, okay? So the thing about it is up to us to extend the hospitality when you meet someone new or a stranger or a student for the first time or going to someone's home for the first time and meeting their family. It's up to the giver to initiate the contact of love and ambiance of care. And for some people that's very, very hard to do. There's self-confidence issues, there's trust issues, there's honor issues. But in the light of God, inside, we're all the same. God has no favorites. So we just got to muster up that love juice that's right in our hearts and soul and think of that person as a wonderful gift of heart that maybe you will learn something new or something about the people that you are friends with, or even something about yourself that you didn't comprehend or take in, like, wow, you've got the most beautiful blonde hair. I wish I had hair that long. You see? You, Tammy, yes.
Me?
Yes.
I'm looking at her hair and I'm over there, if I let this grow out, your hair is very pretty.
So is yours, Tammy.
Well, thank you.
And ourselves is not a customer satisfaction clause. Okay? Mm-hmm. We have to take care of ourselves. And in a contract of cause and effect, we do not want to look at people as customers. But I've seen people do it over and over again when they're tired, exhausted, full, and you've had to meet and greet a lot of people. It's a natural thing to stay high profile, up, happy, eager, anticipating. But we've got the revenue and we've got the residue, if you will, the residue of love inside of us. So that simply means love, polite graciousness, goodwill, and respect. In Peter, 1 Peter, chapter 4, it says, I love this, be hospitable to strangers without grudging. Attitude is important. Thank you, God. It certainly is. It's about everything. Attitude is about everything, but especially meeting new people or having to stand up and give a speech or a talk to a place you've never been before. In Hebrews 13, it also says, and forget not hospitality toward strangers, for thereby some were worthy to entertain angels unaware. And so I've still got a little bit left. You're going to stretch that few minutes there, Connie, just a wee little bit. Here at Fellowship, we partake in hospitality with many continued moments in quality and in heart. Year after year, welcoming people back, giving them a hug, saying it's so wonderful to see you again, or they come for a class or to be a mentor or to help out some way with weekends perhaps, and that is just so heartfelt to see them walk in the door, their smile is big, you give them a hug and you say, oh my gosh, it's so wonderful to see you again, welcome back. That to me is true, heartfelt hospitality. And so in hospitality, with many continued moments in quality and heart, as we greet new students, come to class, enjoy the gatherings of love and the faith, I just say I bless my friends, Elaine and Mark, for giving us the models of hospitality, for spiritually celebrating at fellowships. And we have left that tradition ongoing, Mark. Thank you so much for teaching us how to go about the higher ground. Thank you. From the fellowship and our spiritual development, we have evolved, and many of us are deeply mindful of sharing, reminding us not to impose upon ourselves guilt, that which we don't do, for it may be very healing to leave behind old agenda and bring the goodness of what we have accomplished to our heart in manifestation. What speaks to us is the sincerity and demonstration of genuine fellowship, the care and the love we have for each other and one another, our spiritual family, our teachers, the staff and the leadership, and the inspiration from our directors. We've been taught the laws of spiritual knowledge and wisdom that has given us the greater meaning of hospitality, the bigger meaning. And that is about not only ourselves with one person, it's about how we greet the world, how we work out in the outside part of the world, how we carry our consciousness, how we use our spirituality in the words and the gestures and the manners of which we go about our lives. So, in closure, the power of the word helps build strong bonds. Happiness and love, as we have in this world, a basic need to love and be loved. We truly do. We all have expectations, and genuine hospitality has the beauty and the grace that can exceed our expectations, and we can feel loved and accepted. There's a story of a man at the stump years ago when I first became a registered medium. I was chairing the stump, and the man and his family waited till everybody was gone. I'm looking at my watch. I got to be at the healing temple. Did I want to be rude to this man? Absolutely not. He had tears in his eyes. He said, please, can't you please, out of the generosity and hospitality of Lilydale, give me a little message? I said, dear God, now is the time, if you've ever been with me, please. And I did. I gave him 4 words in a small sentence. He looked at me and he said, that is exactly what I've been waiting for my wife who passed away to bring me, the exact words. And he took money out of his pocket and was going to hand it to me. A wealthy man, okay? I said, no, sir, I can't accept that. I did that out of love. He sent a $1,000 check to Lilydale Assembly. So I was happy out of hospitality that Lilydale benefited. You see, that was what made me happy. So at the very end, let us offer just a moment of gratitude for just one gift, one little gift. Pick one in your heart and your mind, just one little gift of the Spirit that you received as we gather and celebrate the blessings we have held and hold dear for ourselves and others at the fellowship of the Spirit. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, hospitality is making guests feel like they are at home, even if you wish they weren't. So God bless you all. Maybe you've got a new perception of hospitality. And it goes on because there's so much ancient history about this word that maybe we'll again pick it up someday and continue. But for right now, just remember, it's making guests feel like they're at home, even if you're not sure you can do it. God bless you. Thank you.